Hello, the big news this week, Intel. Yeah, I know it's supposed to be a startup thing, but the news this week, like sometimes there's not big startup news, but there was big Intel news. There were some Intel startup-y news as well, so bear with me. Of course, the big news out of Intel this week is a very Oregon flavored kind of news story because Nvidia, which was founded by Jensen Huang, who's an alumni of Aloha High School here in the Portland area, and is an alum of Oregon State. So very Oregon centric there with the Nvidia stuff. He's also making a lot of investment into Oregon State and their AI programs there. But I digress. The other investment that Nvidia is making that made big news is they are collaborating with Intel on a couple different types of chips, both for kind of like large scale applications, but also sounds like maybe personal computer applications. And in addition to that, Nvidia will be investing $5 billion into Intel as part of that collaboration. And of course, Intel, very Oregon story. I realize they're not headquartered here, but the largest concentration of Intel employees on Earth is right here in the Portland area. So they're very much a Portland tech company, an Oregon tech company, and with Nvidia and Jensen's history and Nvidia's collaboration with Oregon State and other folks in the community here, it just felt like a very kind of Oregon flavored story with Nvidia investing $5 billion in Intel. But there's also some startup angles here. So we're noticing a growing trend. I talk to friends who are journalists and they're like, it's not really a trend until it's like happens 3 times. And if you see something happen 3 times, then that could be an indicator that it's actually a trend happening. And that is what's happening with Intel alumni. So Intel, unfortunately, has had a number of layoffs. I think, if you're working at Intel, that makes you a bit concerned. But I also think that people are recognizing opportunities that Intel either doesn't want to pursue or is not in a position to pursue, and yet they are. So they're leaving Intel to start new companies. One of those, arguably the most successful one that we've seen in recent history, was Ampere, which was founded by Renee James, who had been the either president or CEO, I forget which, of Intel. But she left to start Ampere, and they got acquired for like $6 billion earlier this year. So that clearly worked out, and that was a pretty quick turnaround. She wasn't gone from Intel that long before Ampere became a successful acquisition. Another one that has happened pretty recently is Ahead Computing. It's a group of Intel folks who are working on RISC chip architecture.
RISC architecture is going to change everything.
Yeah, RISC is good.
And they have raised $21.5 million in that pursuit. So Intel folks funded to continue working on chip architecture. And the most recent one is Muon. I think it's Muon. It's Mueon. They just announced they've raised $15 million. So more Intel alums starting hardware-based businesses, getting funding from VCs, even though traditionally VCs are like, hardware is pretty hard. It's pretty risky, pretty capital intensive. Don't know if that's where I want to put my money. These days, these folks coming out of Intel are inspiring those venture capitalists to take that risk.
RISC is good.
So I think there are a couple key things here. One, potential trend with Intel alums starting businesses. So if you're an Intel alum starting a business, please reach out to me and let me know so that I can highlight your startup as well as yet another kind of spin-off or Intel alum founded business. It's very important that we kind of keep this storyline growing. And then the other thing, it kind of points to the fact that once you have an inspirational, aspirational company or story of a company like Ampere, that might actually inspire folks to take risks that they wouldn't have taken otherwise. So I would like to think that the storyline of Ampere, and then Intel alums starting a company, growing it, getting it acquired for a significant amount of money, was inspirational to some of the engineers who may have still been at Intel and were like, hey, I think we can do something like that. Or maybe not something that big, but I think we've got something we can work on. So all in all, I don't know that I've ever said this. I'm kind of optimistic about Intel right now as a potential, not only with the Nvidia investment, that's great and all for Intel proper, but I'm thinking from a startup perspective, we might start seeing some more energy and activity from the Intel folks. So of course I'll keep an eye on that for you, and I will keep tracking on it, but I wanted you to be aware in case you are interested on the impact that Intel has on our community. Speaking of impact in community, Ciara Pressler, our friend, the founder of Pregame and also a pretty solid MC for a variety of events. If you're not familiar with Pregame, they work largely with services-based companies, helping them become more strategic, thoughtful, more business-like, and arguably more successful than they would be without Pregame's help. She runs that. She founded and runs that org. She also does a lot of work with governments, like both kind of local, like city, municipality kind of level, but also at the state level and probably regional level. Like she's got a lot of coverage. She has a lot of insights. She's worked with a lot of government entities, and she kind of posed this question on LinkedIn because LinkedIn has all the social energy now. Now that Twitter's kind of lost it apparently all moved over to LinkedIn. Anyway, so she posted on LinkedIn about Oregon really needing an honest audit of companies, of organizations that have the ability to help companies scale. So in my parlance, that's like accelerator-y kind of companies or people who offer, organizations who offer technical assistance that help companies become more strategic, or like Pregame does, where they help companies, develop strategies and business plans that help them actually scale, not just kind of keep, paycheck to paycheck earning money and not really doing things strategically, but doing them tactically. Her organization helps with more of that strategy stuff. I don't mean to imply it's important strategy stuff. I'm not being dismissive. I just don't have good words. So she posed that question to LinkedIn, like, shouldn't we have an audit of the organizations that claim to do this work and to validate or verify whether they actually do? And it became a really good discussion on there. So I wanted to highlight it and link it up. I just wanted to crystallize the question here based on some of the content she provided. It was not a lengthy, but it was a sizable post. But this part really struck me, so I wanted to take a moment to share it with you. These are Ciara's words, and if they spark some response from you, I would love you to tune into the thread and join in and take part in the conversation. To make Oregon better for growing businesses, we need to work backward. Start with the businesses that started here, then scaled to the point of economic impact. Think hiring, tax paying, ripple effect, multiple locations, generational wealth. Ask them which Oregon-based resources they used for business support and what specific benefit they had on their business growth. We have good vibes about a lot of orgs, but do we have receipts? So if you're one of those organizations, if you're the founder of an organization that was able to scale and you found help here, locally, regionally, nationally, what have you, jump into that thread, provide some feedback. If you have feedback on that concept or on some of the organizations where you're like, this one's really helpful, even though they might not have the receipts, whatever the case, this is a really good conversation. This is a conversation that needs to be had. And my response to it was very much like, in my experience here in the business world of Oregon, which is now at the 30-year mark unfortunately. My experience with business in Oregon is we have a tendency to be very anecdotal and like word of mouth about what's happening. And, we like to talk about being the de facto capital of this, that, and the other thing, but we don't often have numbers to back it up. We are that. Portland's business and economic development metrics are like, and Oregon, I guess Portland is guilty, perhaps guiltier than most, but I think you could say potentially Oregon, by and large, except for, as Stephen Green mentioned, the capital scan that happens on a regular basis. By and large, economic development around here is that Wikipedia entry that has like citation needed, mentioned 1,000 times in the edits. We just don't have reference points. We don't have metrics. We don't track things. We don't measure things. So we just don't have that information at our disposal. Yeah, and we could use it. We need it. So again, thank you, Ciara, as always, for asking these questions, for being willing to kind of put that out there and start these conversations. I think it's a very good conversation that's going. And again, I would like you to chime in, with your perspective on what's needed, what we could be doing, what we should be doing, because this is a problem we as a community need to solve. Continuing the thread of scaling businesses, our friends at Tender Loving Empire have recently launched a WeFunder campaign that allows you to provide capital in a way that allows you also to invest in TLE. So if you're a fan of TLE, then not only do they have the storefronts where they have a lot of artists and creators who sell their wares and artwork and things at their stores, both downtown and at the airport and, all over the place. TLE does a really good job of being the retail environment to support people who make things in our community. They also have a really awesome record label. And they find all kinds of interesting musical artists and that kind of thing too. So I love TLE. They've been really helpful to me. I actually almost got the opportunity to work with a side project of TLE way, way back in the day at Pi, but it just wasn't quite a right fit at the right time. So I always regret not getting the opportunity to work with Jared on that project that was TLE adjacent. That could have been fun. But now I do have the opportunity to support them, and I would encourage you to do so as well. I've invested in their WeFunder account. I'm invested in their success, just like they've invested in a ton of other people's success around here. So if you're in a position to do so, and you would like to show your appreciation for Tender Loving Empire, please consider contributing to their WeFunder campaign. It is an investment. It's not just like a GoFundMe where you're like giving money away, or like a Kickstarter where you're throwing some money in and hoping potentially that product shows up. The WeFunder platform is an investment opportunity. So make your own investment decisions. This is not investment advice. This is just me telling you that I really love TLE. I really love the founders. I'm really happy that they have the courage to ask for this sort of help and to ask for the community to engage as financial partners. And because of that, I would like to see them get all the support they possibly can. So good luck, TLE, and please support Tender Loving Empire if you can. Okay, just last week, I was talking about John Maroney from Oregon Venture Fund and how he was leaving that role. I think he's still an investor in the fund. And of course, he'll still be around. He's worked with them for so long. There's no way to like detach that easily. But, I was like, oh, that's unfortunate because, John was always on my speed dial for like, hey, go talk to John, startup founder, you need help or you need to engage with the investment community in Portland. That's what John's here for. That's what Oregon Venture Fund hired him to do, to be out and about in the community, to be deal flow, those kind of things. It's a critical role. And so when John said he was leaving, I'm like, what are we going to do? There's nobody in this role. But, OVF, they're VCs. VCs move fast and not necessarily break things, but they move fast and try and get things done. So I'm really happy to announce that Deepthi Madhava, who has been at OVF and has been a compatriot of John's in some of this community work, is now taking over that role that John served. So now I would get to say, instead of contacting John, I'll be like, I get a hold of Deepthi. She is your person. She's your contact to get you connected to the investment community in Portland, to get you engaged with OVF and all of their amazing angels and all the other things that they do. And hopefully I will keep my eye out for the next kind of PDX AI demo night that OVF has been doing, because John and Deepthi have been collaborating on that. And I'm pretty sure that it's something they'd like to continue going. I'm pretty sure it's something they would like to keep going and continue. So I'm going to find some time to sit down with Deepthi and see how I can support her in this new role. And if I learn anything of consequence, I will make sure and let you know as well. But I'm just happy to report that we've lost a community contact, but we've gained an entirely new one. So if you need to get in contact with Oregon Venture Fund, reach out to Deepthi. In my history covering Portland startups, 18 years that it's been that I've been doing that, Lord knows why, but every once in a while there's a startup that I miss. And I had that problem obviously, as I shared with the TLE thing with Jared. Nees was working on this thing and I missed it at Pi. And there are other things I've missed at Pi. I think Globe Sherpa was probably one of the big ones that we missed. Chirpify was one that we missed. So I miss things all the time. I miss things all the time at Pi, miss things all the time at Silicon Florist. There's all kinds of stuff going on, and I'm trying to keep track of it, but like, a lot of stuff going on. So sometimes I miss stuff. Vooks is one of those things I missed. It was one of those where I think that's a thing. I should cover that. And then it was just suddenly off to the races. And I was like, well, I don't know if it needs my coverage anymore. It's kind of doing what it does. If you're not familiar with Vooks, it started kind of the concept before it was really popular of like video books. If you're a parent and like your kid just needs some wholesome entertainment, and like a lot of those things are being taken away because of funding at the federal level. And you're like, I want something that's wholesome and educational for my young child to engage with, because I simply just need to entertain them and I don't want to just plop them in front of the TV or whatever. Like, I need a break. I'm going crazy, whatever it is. I might be getting too much into my own baggage there, but they do video books and so that kids get good content. It's created in a compelling way, and it's designed to be helpful rather than just pure brain candy kind of stuff. Anyway, the big thing with Vooks, they just passed 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and I'm not exactly sure what they get. They probably get one of those big button plaque thingamajigs, but I don't know what color. I don't know what 1 million is. Is that that's not the diamond one, is it? Anyway, I should know this stuff. I should, because I'm in no danger of getting anywhere close to that many subscribers, so I don't actually have to worry about it. But they do. They have 1 million subscribers. So I just wanted to say congratulations to Vooks. Of course, I will link up their channel so you can get to it if you have young children where you think that their content would be beneficial to those kids that you have, or to your friends' kids. I will just link it up. I should probably just go listen to a Vook right now. I'm not keeping it together very well. Anyway, so congratulations to the Vooks. 1 million subscribers is a big deal, and it's really nice that they were able to share that with the community. YouTube, more YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, I don't know. There was just a lot of good content this week. And back, I don't know when I keep historically referencing olden times, but the way Silicon Florist used to be in the olden days, like prior to the pandemic, things like that. A lot of my work was referencing other people's blogs and block quoting things they'd said on their own blog and linking to them and directing people to blogs. And then it kind of evolved into social. And I'm like, oh, they said something interesting on Twitter and I should link to that. And, there were here are Twitter accounts you should follow or whatever. So more socially. And then it kind of dawned on me that most people are kind of moving to publishing really good content, not on their blogs anymore, and maybe not so much on social, but as video content on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and those things. And so I've just started to get in more of a regular practice of highlighting YouTube videos that people are posting. I can just post them to my blog, boom, boom, boom. So I will link them up here. You will get them every week that I find great YouTube content. I'll link it up right here because you're already on the YouTube. Why would I make you go somewhere else? But if you need to catch up or refresh or whatever, it'll also be over on the blog. So one I really appreciated personally, Techstars. I think they're rebooting one of their podcasts, but the concept of this video that they released is something that gets stuck in my craw on a regular basis. If you're not as obsessed with the startup support industry as I am, you may be like, why does it even matter? What are you talking about? But it's important to me, so I'm going to tell you because I want to tell you. So one of the issues in the industry is people don't know what to call startup support organizations. And they don't know what to call the people to do the work. They don't know how to classify and categorize the work being done. They don't know how to talk about it. And so there came about this concept, largely kind of adopted and pushed by the Kauffman Foundation called an ecosystem builder. And an ecosystem builder is kind of this upper level organization that helps bring everything in an entrepreneurial ecosystem together. They're working with electeds and politicians. They're working with private industry. They're working with nonprofits. They're working with universities. They're working with the entire ecosystem and how that ecosystem has potential impact on entrepreneurs, on startup founders, on venture scale technology, on venture scale startups, all those things. I guess they're working with VCs too. I put VCs in that ecosystem thing, right? So there's this concept of an ecosystem builder. I have been quite forthright. No matter how many times people have tried to wedge me into that definition, and Rick, he's an ecosystem builder. I am not an ecosystem builder at all, by the furthest stretch of the imagination. What I am is somebody who likes to hang out with startup founders and to help startup founders and to listen to founders and to be the shoulder that founders cry upon. That is the work I do. And that is startup community work. That is not ecosystem building. So long story short, Techstars provides kind of definitions of here's what a startup community is. Here's what an entrepreneurial ecosystem is, and they probably do it more quickly than it took me to explain what the video was talking about. So if you're interested in that distinction, or you're like, I've never understood why this is one way or this is this way, or I don't understand what this person does or what they should be called, watch that Techstars video, and it will help explain that. So I'll link that up. Annie Sexton was on the Overcommitted podcast. And what I love about this is Annie Sexton here in Portland works for fly.io. And the Overcommitted podcast is produced here in Portland. So I love Portland people talking to Portland people. It's Brittany Ellick who was featured a while back as one of the people in the People database, the Oregon Startup Folks database. So she was on the Overcommitted podcast. I'm a huge fan of Annie. I think her work is great that she's doing for Fly. I got the chance to work with her when she was exploring potentially starting a company, building a product back during the pandemic in Pi. And so I got to spend a lot of good quality time with her virtually in the pandemic world. But huge fan. She's super thoughtful. Really appreciate how she approaches things. And she does great work for Fly, but Fly.io. But she's also got, a variety of other great perspectives. So I highly encourage you to catch the Overcommitted podcast. It's really an ensemble show, like a whole bunch of people interviewing a single person. So it's an interesting dynamic and lots of faces on the screen. So if you're interested in learning more about Annie and the work she does and marketing to developers, or why that's a bad idea, I highly encourage you to tune in to the Overcommitted podcast. And then finally, a week ago or so, I was talking about like, oh, hey, I made this little avatar thing that turns your avatar into a demon because we're getting close to Halloween and Portland apparently is like living in hell. The platform I use to do that is called Vibes DIY. It's a Portland startup. It's an instantiation or an example of how Fireproof, which is a database architecture, can be used. But Vibes DIY is really like a way of engaging with the database without it being so hard to get your head around. Like the database was explained to me at some point, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But then they bolted Vibes DIY on top of it. I was like, oh, this makes perfect sense. And now I see how the database works. And I think that my favorite thing about it is some of the vibe coding tools will, which is what Vibes DIY is. I'm sorry if I didn't say that, but some of the vibe coding tools will kind of like, here's the code we're writing and blah, 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 and do that little thing for you. The beauty of Vibes DIY is they also show you the database schema and a bunch of other stuff that's being done behind the scenes. So super interesting, but it's also just a great tool for just knocking out, like, I just need to build a prototype. I just need to use plain English to make a prototype of a thing to see if it'll work and publish. And so I can bang on it a little bit. And then they also have this remix capability. So if you publish your app or whatever you built to Vibes DIY and leave it open for remixing, then other people can take it and do stuff with it too and build their own version and blah, 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 and post theirs. And so a really interesting community dynamic to Vibes DIY as well. Again, I'm sorry, I'm taking so long to explain these videos and you could have just been there watching the video. Anyway, Marcus and Mike kind of take you through how the product works, and it's one of those kind of entertaining videos. Like you like, I don't want to watch a product demo. You want to watch this product demo. It's good. It's good. Trust me. Spend a little time with it and you'll be like, oh, not only was this entertaining, but I learned how to use Vibes DIY, and I will pop over there and I will build something. And if you build something on Vibes DIY, please drop it in the comments. I would love to see it. I'll play around with it. I'll use any app. Just build some apps, send them my way. I want to see what you're doing. Okay, cool. All right. Well, it's just you and me now. You, me, and my cheap knockoff Kroger seltzer water. Not sponsored. So this is the time where everybody else has left. It's just you and me. Thank you for putting up with all the news and all my rambling. I just like to take this time for you and me to kind of like, I share some secrets with you because you deserve to know, because you hang out and you show up every week and you tune in and you're nice enough to comment and engage. And I just really appreciate it. So I just, because it's just you still waiting, I wanted to provide a few secrets to you. And this one was really a struggle for me this week, just thinking through it. Like, you may have heard me say before that if I repeat something a couple times, I've made a commitment to myself that, like, if you repeat something, kind of like that trend thing I was talking about at the beginning of the show, like, if you notice a trend in what you're saying, you're repeating the same thing over and over, then you should probably record it so that it's useful to other people in the future. And I try and do that when I hear like VC terms or startup guidance or that kind of thing. But this time it was more personal. And what I was having synchronicity with this week is a number of people. Like it was it was a trend. It was more than 3 people all kind of said, something along the lines of like, oh, YouTube, you don't have to earn any money, right? Like YouTube and the blog are what you do full time. Like that's what you do for work. Something along those lines. Like, what do you do? Like that used to be the one. It was like, how do you make money? What do you do? And but this time it took on a very different kind of perspective. And it dawned on me that there might be this perception that just like that I'm independently wealthy and I just do this because it's entertaining for me. Now I have done this community conversation, blogging, cheerleading of Portland startups for 18 years because I do love it. Like I know it's hard to be a founder. And I do love celebrating all the amazing people who are building things in town. And that's important to me. And I do that as a side project, not because it's a job, but because it is a job that needs to be done. And I enjoy doing it, but I don't really get paid for the Silicon Florist or the YouTubing stuff. There's no revenue there, unless you count like the one job post that pops up every 3 months or something. But so for that stuff, no, it's a job. And I honestly wish I had more time to focus on it. I could do so much more if I had the wherewithal and support to focus on that stuff. I got ideas, I got things, I got stuff I could do, but that's not how things are structured financially. So I don't get paid to do that. Pi, I do Pi work and I get compensated for that work. But here's the crux of it that I think, and part of one of these conversations was I should have just shut Pi down. At that point, I should have shut Pi down. I was just so enamored of the brand that I just clung to it because I thought it had like this brand equity and I thought people understood it and I thought it played a role in the community, and I was far too like precious and egotistical about it. I should have just shut it down. And so, but that came out, it's a bit of a tangent. Whoa. But that came out because, I don't think a lot of people understand the trajectory of Pi. And just to put it really simply, if you don't know what Pi is, it was, and still is, it's kind of around, but designed to be one of those entrepreneur support organizations like what Ciara was talking about in her post up top. Is an accelerator for time, co-working space, blah, blah, blah. But Pi originally started as a volunteer effort, purely volunteer for the first 2 years of its 18 months to 2 years of its existence. And then Wyden & Kennedy offered to hire me to run Pi. And we set up a budget and what we thought we could do for that amount of budget and how long we thought we could go for that amount of budget. And we did that. And I was paid a full-time salary and benefits for 5 years to run Pi. That is the only time in my 18 years of doing this that I've been paid a full-time salary to do this work. So all by way of saying the other 13 years or so has really just been me cobbling together like contracting stuff that I do quietly behind the scenes to to support my habit of sharing this information and news with you. And so I wanted to put that out there because I think there may be a misunderstanding or an incorrect perception that this is what I do, like I'm a journalist or something, which I'm not. This is just a bad habit that I enjoy, and I wouldn't even call it a hobby anymore. It's been going on far too long to just be a hobby. But yeah, I just got a lot of that confusion this week where people are like, oh yeah, you're the YouTube guy, or like you do that thing. I'm like, no, I've only been doing YouTube for 2 years. I'm not a YouTube guy. And I learned long ago that if I wanted to write a blog, trying to make it into a business would prevent me from enjoying that blog and spending time on that content. I would have to focus on entirely different things. But all that being said, it was a very short, wonderful period of time in my community work that I was actually able to focus on it full time and be compensated full time to work on those things. So I know what I'm capable of when I'm in that situation, but unfortunately haven't been in that situation for the majority of the time. So now you know, and that's kind of where it is. But speaking of being a YouTube guy and bad transitions, I'm coming up on 2 years. I started this experiment in early October of 2023 and still enjoying it, still going. I hope it's helpful to you. I mean, you're still here, so thank you for being here. Thank you for coming back. Don't know why you do, but I really appreciate it. And I'm on 2 years. I think the one thing I've realized, apart from all of the amazing things I've learned by running this experiment, is that maybe picking Thursday night to be my recording night was a mistake. And I originally did it because I do my newsletter on Friday nights. And I was like, well, I don't want to have to do both things on the same night. And, I don't know that I'll have enough time to do both these things and whatever. And so that was the idea behind the original spacing of the two things. But what I've come to learn is that after doing 815 issues of the newsletter, I kind of know what I'm doing there. So it doesn't really take a lot of thought or or like, deep concentration to put together the newsletter. So that's not a problem anymore. Like I can get the newsletter done. I know I can get it done really quickly on Friday nights. And the other part is just it's becoming more and more apparent that blocking Thursday night to record is preventing me from attending a number of really interesting community events that I would be happy to attend and I often miss. And that's unfortunate. And so not that this is going to change your world drastically in any way, but I think I've made the decision. I have made the decision. I made the decision to move recordings to Friday. I'll start that, early October, somewhere around there. Obviously, I'm still recording Thursday evening this week, but I'm going to make that transition so that it frees up my Thursday nights to go to some more events around town. And who knows what else it may free up. I don't know. I feel like I need to try it. And, I think a lot of you don't even get to this till Saturday or Sunday or even the following Monday or whenever when you actually go back to work. So I think it's all good. Tell me if it's not. But right now, unless someone comes up with a definitive reason why I shouldn't, I'll be moving my recording to Friday, which means both the recap, this thing you're watching now, and the newsletter will both come out on Fridays. So let's give that a shot for a while. See how that goes. Cool. All right. Thanks for hanging out as long as you did. This was pretty deep secrets session. It was like real secrets though, right? Like it was secrets that a lot of people don't know. But you do. You know now. And we know. So hope you're hanging in there. And until we get the chance to chat again, please keep up the good work.